Hi, I'm Annie. When I started basic school, I hardly ever talked to anyone. I was so shy and quiet that some of my classmates thought I was a dummy. My kindergarten teacher even told my parents to take me to a doctor and find out what was wrong with me. But Dad completely lost his temper with her.
Are you dumb? She is too beautiful for there to be anything wrong with her. Why don't you save your advice for some other real dumb kid?
But no matter what, my shyness just didn't go away. I didn't talk much to my classmates, and they thought I was a snob. As if. Once when I was in the first grade, some of my classmates asked me to share my candy with them, but I just stared back at them and didn't reply. Who do you think you are, you dumb girl? I said give us candy. I didn't say a word and started walking away. They got angrier and circled me. Suddenly I opened my mouth and let out an ear-splitting scream. They were so shocked to actually hear my voice that they just stood there stupidly, and I managed to escape. But at home, I was a completely different person. I was super chatty and an awesome storyteller. In fact, sometimes my parents begged me to stop talking because I was giving them headaches. Once I kept them awake all night telling them a story I had in my mind about some princess. And because I didn't know how to write well, they spent all night writing it for me. It ended up about 90 pages long.
I will do this every night, sweetheart. I can't believe I have such a beautiful daughter in my life.
Dad just worshipped me because I was pretty. Mom was different and loved me no matter what. I was still too shy to talk outside my home, but people never stopped trying to become friends with me. And I know why now. It's only because they thought I was cute. But I had to admit, I kind of liked it. When I was in the third grade, one boy threw a piece of paper at me that said, "Your smile makes me happy, but your words make me happier. Can I hear them?" I blushed, and from that moment, I tried to talk more. So I made new friends and also started taking part in different school activities, but still without talking much. When I was in the 8th grade, my parents helped me publish my first short novel. But it was a failure and people didn't like it. I got sad. Dad didn't take it well and sued the publishers, saying it was their fault. But of course, he lost the case, and I decided to take a break from writing. Until one morning, when our class teacher walked into the classroom with a tall, athletic boy. It really looked like the boy wasn't too happy to join us. "Everyone, welcome your new classmate, Peter." Peter had a deep frown and a stupid smile at the same time. He had this funny Grinch face. The teacher told Peter to take a seat right next to me, and I gave him a friendly smile.
That's the ugliest smile I've ever seen. Have you heard of toothpaste? I can buy it for you if you don't have money. You can pay me back, maybe with a kiss?
Oh, wow. I was about to respond when the teacher started the lesson. It was a French lesson, and he looked completely blank. "Hey, do you need any help?"
From you? You don't look very smart, and I don't need help from a girl when I can use Google Translate on my phone, so buzz off.
What a jerk. The next day when the teacher returned the assignments, Peter looked really angry to see a big F on his.
What kind of dumb school is this? How can Google be wrong?
I took a look at his paper and burst out laughing. "That's not even French, you idiot. You translated the whole thing to Spanish." He crumpled up his assignment into a ball and threw it at my face, but I couldn't stop laughing. Boy, how could someone be this stupid? I figured out soon enough that Peter wasn't interested in learning or making friends. Eventually, the whole school realized that Peter was just interested in bullying others. Sometimes he would snatch students' lunch and threaten to beat them if they reported him. I was one of those unlucky students. But after the third time he did it, I reported him to the principal, and he was put in detention. When Peter returned from detention, he looked straight into my eyes.
"You are going to pay for this."
"Well, you should know your limits. If you ever try to bother me again, I swear you will regret it, and I might even tell Dad."
Aw, Daddy's daughter, look at me. I'm so scared. Oh, Mommy, hug me.
Once he tried to knock my books out of my hands when suddenly a bunch of boys behind him came and said,
"Dude, why are you being like this with a pretty girl like her?"
Wait, what? So if I wasn't pretty, that would be okay?
Well, pretty girls deserve special treatment, you know? So now we're all here to stop him. He can't annoy pretty girls.
Well, thanks for your caring, but girls can defend themselves. And I pushed through them and left.
Told you guys, girls are crazy, especially the pretty ones. Now get lost, all of you, or else.
This Peter did whatever he wanted. It seemed he wasn't afraid of anyone, not even the principal. I really hated him. One rainy day, Peter came to school completely drenched, and it seemed like he'd fallen sick. He was shivering nonstop, and the principal said he'd call his parents to take him home. But to everyone's surprise, Peter screamed,
"No, I'm fine. I don't want to go home. Please let me stay."
"You have to go home and rest."
"No, I don't. I could run a marathon right now. Just some water and I'll be good to go."
With that, he picked up the glass with his trembling hands and suddenly dropped it all over my assignment. Later at recess, I found him huddled on the bleachers and he was hugging a worn-out teddy bear. Dude, is that a stuffed toy?
Don't insult Mr. Smith.
Oh, he has a name? Is he like your little baby? Is he adopted or did you give birth to him?
Shut up! Can't you leave me alone?
You're sick and you need to go home.
You look much prettier when you're quiet. Now stop acting like you care.
Ugh, why do you have to be like this? I'm trying to be nice.
Who asked you? Mind your own business.
As soon as he was fine, he went right back to being the jerk he always was. I started writing about him in my notebook. Peter was such an interesting person for a villain. I couldn't believe that having someone as horrible as him in my life was actually making me want to get back to writing. One day when I was leaving the cafeteria, Peter blocked my way and demanded that I give him my lunch. We're not in kindergarten, idiot, and I ate it. And I'm not afraid of you. Now shoo. As I walked past him, he suddenly pulled at my bag and everything spilled out. A couple of boys immediately ran over to help me and I gathered my stuff and left angrily. What an immature jerk! When I went home, I found out that my notebook was missing. I rushed straight to the locker the next morning and was going through all my stuff frantically when I heard Peter behind me.
Looking for this?
Give that back, you jerk! He threw it at me, giving me that stupid smile of his.
Got what I needed.
And with that, he walked away. I had no idea what he was up to, but I found out soon enough. Later that day, the whole school was gathered in the gym for a lecture on fire safety. As we stood waiting around for it to start, suddenly Peter jumped onto the stage and tapped the mic for everyone's attention.
While we are all gathered here to talk about our safety in school, I just want to say, I don't feel safe at all. How can I when I have a stalker right here?
Oh, no. Just then the large screen behind him flickered and images from my notebook showed up. As the sketches and the things I'd written about him flashed on the screen, I wanted to disappear.
And it's none other than the girl everyone adores, Annie. She's obsessed with me. Guess just 'cause you're pretty on the outside doesn't mean you can't be a total creep inside. So everyone be careful. You might wake up someday to find yourself a villain in her novel. She's cuckoo.
As everyone's eyes turned to me, I could feel panic rise in my chest.
But it's okay, sweetie. I can still be your boyfriend. Want to hang out sometime?
As I ran out of the gym, I turned around and said, "You're bad. I hate you." As I walked into the school the next day, my legs were trembling. I just stared down at my feet as I entered the classroom. The lesson started, and when the teacher asked me to read my essay out loud, I just looked down and shook my head. Just as everyone was leaving for the cafeteria, Peter hung back.
Hey, Annie, are you okay? If this is about the gym thing, everyone knows it was just a harmless joke.
I just stared at him silently with angry tears, and I threw my lunch at his face and walked out of the school. This time he didn't respond and looked a bit guilty. Peter didn't come to school the next few days. I don't know why, but I actually felt worried. One day he finally showed up. "Hey, I still don't like you, but I made sure to make notes for you when you came back. And no, girls aren't dumb. We can be emotional sometimes, and that's something we're proud of." Just then, to my shock, Peter broke down and started to cry.
Annie, I'm really sorry. I don't know why I'm this way. I just act out because of things going on in my own life.
Then he told me about his family, how his mother had passed away when he was 6 and he was left all by himself with his stepdad.
He's mean and stupid and doesn't even take care of me. And one day when I'm old enough, I'm going to punch him in the face.
I finally saw why Peter was like that. He was just a frustrated kid who needed help. Next day during lunch, Peter jumped on one of the tables and announced something. Everyone got quiet and listened to him.
Hey everyone, I'm just here to apologize for everything I did to all of you. I still think some of you are weird and I don't like most of you, but that didn't give me the right to treat anyone like that. So, as they say in French, lo siento.
Dude, that's Spanish. Just get down. Everyone burst into laughter and Peter gave me a hug.
Thank you for lighting up my life. I promise I will become a better person. No, not really. Only under one condition. Make me the irresistible, handsome, great hero in your novel.
Helping Peter become a better person is my greatest achievement. Now he is a medical doctor with a beautiful wife, and he named his child Annie after me. And me, I'm a writer now.
Dad, look at that bright, shiny star. Do you think it's Mom watching us from heaven?
Don't be ridiculous, Amara. It's just the North Star. Stars are just giant balls of hot air and matter. Come, it's time for bed.
I felt so disappointed as I walked away from the telescope. I really wanted to believe it was Mom. Dad always got so weird whenever I brought her up. It seemed like he never wanted to talk about her. My name is Amara, and people say I'm a child prodigy. My dad is a scientist, and ever since I was a kid, I've heard him say that science is the most important thing in life. And I decided that I would become a physicist like him one day. But that day came sooner than anyone had expected. You see, my teachers in school soon discovered that I was a genius, and I was bumped up quite a few grades. I was done with high school by the time I was 10 years old. By 13, I'd graduated from college, and by 16, I'd gotten my PhD in astrophysics. Soon enough, I was hired as a professor at a university where all the students were older than me. Once I entered the lecture room, and one of my students looked at me pitifully.
Are you lost, kiddo? You want some help?
Yeah, I want you to sit there and be quiet.
What?
Just take a seat. I'm your professor.
Hey, don't lie, you idiot. That's not funny. It's disrespectful.
Shut up and get lost before I make you regret the moment you saw me. The guy's face turned red and he started yelling at me.
Don't you have some respect for adults, kid? Your mama didn't raise you well, did she?
When he mentioned my mom, I got mad. Don't mention her. Don't talk like this about her, you good-for-nothing moron. And I left the room. Minutes later, I returned with the head of the department, and he introduced me to the students. Their jaws dropped open and the room was awkwardly silent. That guy looked shocked. He left and I never saw him again. I started teaching, and students really liked me and my teaching style. Even though I was really proud of everything I'd achieved so young, I sometimes envied other kids who seemed to be having fun with their family and friends. Dad was always too busy, and so was I. And I had no friends my age, except Tanya, my next-door neighbor. She was into fashion, and I never understood what she was talking about. Once, she came and said, "Amara, I feel down. I just broke up with my boyfriend." "But you broke up with him last week, no?" "Oh no, not Mike. Today I broke up with James, and tomorrow I'll dump Marcos. But after he brings me dinner. You know, food is every girl's weakness." Oh God, this girl. But speaking about weakness, one day as I was getting ready to get to work, I saw the most awful tweet on my phone that changed my life forever. Joan Feynman had died. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. I knew she was 93 years old, but she was a pioneer in astrophysics and my personal heroine. I was so devastated that I could barely focus on my lessons that day. That evening, Dad asked me what was wrong. I told him I was really shaken by my idol's death.
Oh, that's so pathetic, Amara. To feel sad about someone's death? That's just so silly. I thought you were more mature than this.
Dad, she's my role model.
I can't believe you're like this. You're too emotional to be a real scientist. So disappointing.
I bit my tongue and didn't tell him that NASA had offered me a position on the International Space Station. I just went into my room. I decided to watch a documentary instead. It was about how single women who don't have boyfriends live shorter lives than those who get married. It seemed silly at first, but then they presented hard scientific evidence, and I was convinced I did not want to die young. And then I got a brilliant idea. I should have a boyfriend. It's not like I was dying to have a boyfriend. I just really needed to test out this theory. When I walked downstairs for breakfast, I made an announcement. "Dad, what do you think about me having a boyfriend?" My dad almost dropped his fork into the food he was eating.
A boyfriend? Why?
"I'm just a human with emotions, Dad. I deserve to love and be loved."
What does that even mean? You're too young to have a boyfriend.
Oh, weren't I young when you made me work as a professor?
That's something else. It's because you're the smartest kid I've ever seen.
Oh, so I'm smart to teach and not smart enough to have a boyfriend.
Romance is for dumb people only.
Oh, Dad, I made my decision. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just letting you know.
I can't believe you're doing this. You're like animals now, like a monkey.
Oh, I don't mind being a monkey. I just want to live longer.
What are you talking about?
Nothing, Dad. You won't get it. Dad didn't look pleased at all, but he didn't say anything else. We ate in silence and I left for work. I had to meet lots of guys. I reached home and called my friend Tanya. "I want to have a boyfriend."
What? Is this a prank?
"Oh, come on, Tanya. I'm just a girl like you."
You are?
"Tanya, I'm serious. I need your help."
Okay. You want one?
One what?
One boyfriend or more?
Oh, no. I would just like to start with one, please.
But what did your dad say about this?
Oh, him? He's evil, trust me. He doesn't want me to have a life, but I'm done listening to him. Tanya then downloaded a bunch of dating apps on my phone. I worked on my profile and put up my best picture that showed me winning the government grant last year for special research. I didn't have a single request in days. What's wrong, Tanya? Don't guys like smart girls? Oh, poor Amara. Just come with me. I had no idea about the torture waiting for me there. I hated shopping, and she dragged me through stores, picking out short pink skirts and Hello Kitty tops. But Tanya, no one would take me seriously at work if I wore this stuff. And no one is going to send you a request on the app if you have a picture of yourself in a lab coat. Just try it on. It's a really cute look. She took me to the salon next for some extremely painful procedures. I was being attacked by thread and wax and hair tongs, after which those women proceeded to slap makeup onto my face. Next, Tanya took some pictures for me and uploaded them onto the app. When I looked at the dating profile, I couldn't recognize the face I saw. I shook my head and went along with it. Apparently, Tanya was onto something because soon enough my phone was buzzing with notifications. It had worked. The next day, I went dressed exactly as Tanya had taught me. As I was walking out the door, Dad looked like he was about to have a fit. The first boy said I didn't look anything like the picture on my profile, and I needed to learn how to apply makeup better. The second one didn't even let me get a word in. He just kept talking about his bodybuilding and kept asking me to touch his biceps. Boy number 3 was just really angry about everything and shouted at the waiter for not giving him ketchup with his fries. The fourth one just sat silently for 30 minutes before he said he had a session with his therapist and he just left me to pay the bill. In 3 days, I had 14 dates, and it was clear something wasn't working. I needed to meet people who I had something in common with. I decided to make a list of all my favorite science and cultural clubs and museums. And from the next day, I attended every meeting and party. I went to classical concerts and painting exhibitions and tried to talk to every boy I could find. I finally met a guy who seemed really interesting. Sam. We spent 3 evenings discussing books, physics, and our favorite insects. Then on the 4th date, I noticed his phone ringing when he was in the bathroom. We were in a quiet cafe and the loud trilling made everyone glare in my direction. I quickly picked up the phone and said, "Sam's phone, who's calling?" The answer on the other end made me almost drop the phone. His girlfriend. "Who are you?" I was shocked and threw it to Sam, who had just come back to the table. When he saw who it was, he looked at me speechlessly, and I just walked out. I was devastated. I went back home and clutched onto my NASA acceptance letter and sobbed. I sobbed because all boys seemed like jerks, but after a day of staying in bed, I decided I needed to continue with my experiment. I had to find someone single. I booked an appointment with the internet's finest matchmaker and set off to meet them. When I told them all my details, they said my IQ was too high and they didn't have anyone who could be matched with me. Fed up and angry, I stomped home. My dad, who had been watching all these changes silently, stopped me that day.
Amara, what has gotten into you? Why are you behaving like such a stupid person?
Something inside me snapped, and I yelled at him. "You never talk about Mom and her death. You never once asked me how I felt when she left us. You mocked me when I told you I felt sad over my idol's death. I'm really scared, and I'm just doing all of this because I don't want to end up alone." And with that, I just stormed off to my room in tears, and Dad didn't follow. When I came down the next day, my father had made my favorite pancakes. That surprised me. He gave me some coffee and sat me down. I was shocked to see him clutching a picture of Mom.
Your mom was the love of my life. Her death devastated me, and no science or logic can explain that pain, so I don't talk about it. I don't know how to.
I stared at my father. I couldn't believe he was talking about his feelings.
I'm sorry that I was selfish and never let you express or process your emotions. You were only a kid, and it's your loss too. And the only reason to be with someone is because they're your soulmate, not some stupid study.
A tear slid down my cheek. I told Dad about the NASA mission, and he hugged me in delight. I emailed NASA back the next day and accepted their offer. I flew to the training session and finished my lessons. In 3 months, I was on the International Space Station. I couldn't believe I was in space. I looked at the stars around me and felt closer to my mother than ever before. It was beautiful. I stared at Earth in the distance and felt a surge of happiness. I felt free. 2 months later, I was back on Earth, and I got into the plane to go back home. The seat next to me was empty, and then I heard a voice. "Hey, Amara." I turned and saw a man with spectacles and a kind smile. Peter? It was my old school friend Peter, who had left school early. We laughed and talked about old memories. At the end of the flight, he asked me for my number. "Amara, would it be okay if I asked you out sometime? I always had a crush on you." I smiled and